Hey everyone, this is Will from BeerNIT.com, and I've had quite a few people in the last few weeks ask me about safe mode, and it's a pretty easy explanation for safe mode, but for a lot of people it can be daunting to figure out just when they should be hitting the buttons to access it, and then once you're in there, what can you do with it? In this case, I'm going to fire up my virtual machine, and I'm sorry if the mouse gets a little weird. There's a bug with recording the virtual machine, so anyhow, we'll start the virtual machine up, and you see that splash screen right there. That is essentially the virtual machine's BIOS, and when your BIOS pops up, it'll either say like a Ward or Phoenix, or maybe it's not even you don't even see the BIOS. Maybe you see like a splash screen. Maybe it says Gateway, maybe it says HP. Right after that BIOS disappears and before the Windows loading screen pops up, you should be hitting F8. And if you're hitting F8 in Windows 7, you'll come up with a screen like this, and the screen is pretty similar to other versions of Windows. XP is going to have a similar screen. Vista will have a screen that looks just like this. And safe mode is like it says there, starting Windows with only the core drivers and services. If you've installed a new driver or there's a piece of hardware failing, safe mode will revert to all the basic drivers in an attempt to start the machine, and it will load only the necessary processes to actually get the machine running. Safe mode with networking, as it says, it's safe mode, but your networking drivers are loaded and you can get online. Command prompt is just the command prompt, like it doesn't actually load the desktop. Boot logging records all like what happened during the boot. So if something's actually failing or hanging up during the boot, and if you go and access the boot log, it'll actually say what failed. Low resolution, you're having problems with your video. Last known good configuration, Windows keeps a tally of what settings everything was at and how the registry was set up last time you successfully booted. So if you hit it, it'll restore everything to those values. If you're not running any domains, don't have to worry about that one. Kernel debugger, you really shouldn't have a busted up kernel. For the most part, as far as the scope of our lessons, if you're worried about debugging mode for the kernel, you're probably just going to be doing a fresh restore on the operating system. Automatic restart on failure. A lot of times people complain about boot loops. It's actually a booting loop. It actually starts up and it blue screens, but with the speed of new computers, it blue screens so fast and restarts that you can actually see it. However, the messages on that blue screen can actually help you figure out what's actually wrong with your PC. So if you're having a boot loop, you can hit that and it won't restart it. And driver signature enforcement, this is a 64-bit thing. If you're using non-signed drivers, sometimes it won't start properly, and sometimes you got to do this, and then you got to find a new driver, and there's some more stuff to it. And then, of course, there's Start Windows Normally. So anyhow, Repair Your Computer also lets you go into diagnostics and startup repair and a bunch of other things you can do. Anyhow, safe mode. It'll give you a list of the files that it's loading. And when you see one of these come down, and if it hangs up, don't feel that when you go out there and say, well, it obviously hung up on, let's say it's a tappy.sys. It didn't actually hang up on a tappy.sys, it hung up on the one that's coming after it. So it can be a little confusing when you're searching for what happened to my PC. Once safe mode loads, it's going to load something very similar to the standard Windows desktop, but it's going to load in the older style, so it's going to have the old box Windows 98, 95 look. Your resolution will probably be a little off. It'll tell you what kind of build you're running. Oops, I actually made the screen a little too big. There we go. And as you can see from here, if you go to properties and you look at some of these, some of your drivers here, in older versions of Windows, it won't even say like what type of graphics card you're using. It'll just say, standard VGA, because it's actually not loading a driver at all. Things like 3D acceleration are disabled. Your sound's probably not going to work. Like I said, we didn't pick with networking, so our network doesn't work. USB should work. That's depending on the operating system itself. And if in my case, the most recent time I've had to use this was with a web browser called Cairo. And Cairo's a pretty cool web browser. It's made for large screen TVs, so you can read things properly, and it's meant to be used with like a presentation mouse. However, every time I installed it, there's a bug on the system where Cairo would try to launch during startup, and it would actually take over the monitor. And the monitor would go black because it couldn't display the resolution that Cairo was trying to run it at. So we'd have to go in here and go to Programs and Features under Safe Mode, find it, and install it. Some programs can be uninstalled in Safe Mode, some can't. If you're having a problem with an auto-launching program, you can actually just start up msconfig. You can make adjustments to your msconfig startup in here, and you hit OK, and then restart it, and you should be able to uninstall it when you get back into Windows. This has been Will for Beer and IT. This is how you access Safe Mode and some of the things you can do in Safe Mode. Other things you might be doing here would be like scanning for viruses, that sort of thing. And if you have any other questions, I'd like you to stop by our website, beerandit.com. If you want to request new videos or you have any questions, you can go to the forums. You can shoot us an email. You can sign up for our free lessons. We have a 21-day lesson that we give out for free in the emails. And I'll see you on the forums.